All right, welcome everyone. We're going to get right into the stock market technical analysis. No time to waste. So leave me a thumbs up, guys, if you find value, and let's get right into it. So we're going to start out with tech. They're buying FANG stocks today. Take a look at the heat map. I mean, in general, everything's kind of flat, slightly higher. Here's the heat map, but you can see the FANG stocks are rallying, and that is what's rallying the market for the most part, as far as I can tell. You can see here Qs, which is heavily weighted to the FANG stocks. That's a weighted ETF. So those really 40% of this is Microsoft and Apple. Apple's, and both of those are up over 2% today. So I would say a big chunk of what's going on here in the Qs is Microsoft and Apple today. We'll take a look at those. But if you look at the equal weighted tech sector, which is QQQE, then you'll see that it's up, about 0.5%. So yes, up, tech is up. The market is up in general, just slightly, but not as much as you would think. And if let's look at the Qs real quick, and then we'll jump over to SPY, and then look at some of these FANG stocks and then gold stocks. Qs on the daily, I really think we're likely going to get rejected. I've been saying this, for a while, but on a backtest of this trend line, somewhere right in here. So we're in the area now where I think it's highly probable that the market's not going to go too much higher. Yes, we could continue to kind of grind higher. As long as we just ride this trend line, you can continue to grind higher, and that's completely possible. Just risk reward doesn't seem very favorable right now to the long side, given that you look at the RSI, we're getting pretty overbought. We can become more overbought, but I still see us really coming in, having a correction really soon, probably next week. We're still continuing the negative divergence. So let me go ahead and show that. You'll see here that we are still below the previous high on the PPO. So here was your previous high right in here. And there's your price. And then we are making still a lower high on the PPO and a higher price. So we still have negative divergence. It's still, it's not quite there on the RSI. It's about an equal high. So we'll see how the day closes. But negative divergence is still there for right now. So I think it's likely we're going to close right in this area. And then next week, we should see a move next week. If we're going to get rejected, it should happen next week. So that's kind of where I'm thinking. Let's look at the SPY. And again, we're coming off the March 2020 lows. There's your trend line. And you can see that we held support. We broke, got a sell signal, and we've been backtesting ever since for this rally. And, really just kind of a steady grind higher on low volume. Kind of a low volume grind higher is what's going on. And that's what's happening today as well. So again, next week, I think we're likely going to get some sort of a reversal rejection candle, but no sell signals. So again, no reason to short right now because we don't have a sell signal. So no reason to add to a short, if anything. All right, moving on to the SPY. SPY's backtesting that trend line off the March 2020 lows. So there it is down here, March 2020 lows. You can see we held support here on this daily chart, held support through here, and then finally broke. So your sell signal was right here. There's your breakdown sell signal, and then this is a back test. So we now have a full back test. They've popped it above briefly, so we'll see. We'll see what next week brings. I think it's likely this is the end of the road. Of course, I could be wrong, so manage your position size and trade accordingly. But I don't think we're going to go much higher than right here. The high that we made today in the SPY is a new divergent high. So you'll see here the momentum. See how it's just dropping, continuing to kind of drop off. And we are at a new high. So lower momentum than the previous high. All right, this is equal. And a new higher high in price. That's negative divergence. That's a high probability of failing. I think it's likely going to fail next week. I'm not going to take a short into the weekend, although this area here does look objective for a short entry. I think Qs can go maybe just a little bit more. I'm going to wait for a rejection candle. I want to wait for that impulsive breakdown. So that might come in the form of a gap down or just a sell-off during the market hours. But I'm going to wait for that to take a short. I want to see that start to show up, which I do think it will show up next week, to be honest. And you can see my list of short trades here. Even though the market's rallying, a lot of these short trades continue to kind of sell off. And they're, a lot of red here. There's some green. I'm not short Starbucks, but some of these I'm not short. They're on watch basically. But a lot of these short trades are actually kind of negative to flat. And meanwhile, the market's running. That's because most of the rally today and really this week has been the FANG stocks. It's Microsoft and Apple and Facebook. It's the FANG stocks that kind of can fool you into thinking there's market strength. And so, yeah, again, we'll just watch that. You'll notice like SQ, I have here selling off today. Not a lot, 0.5%. But again, we continue to get rejected at this daily trend line right here. So this is the area that I figured would be resistance. This was support before. And you can see we rallied into that, tested it pretty much all week. They tried to recover that trend line, but weren't, so far haven't been able to. So I think it's likely we get rejected here on SQ and head lower. And the two that I've got on watch for a sell signal I think are going to happen likely next week is this CAR and GM. Also looks good. CAR, you can see here, is just riding this trend line. So still above trend, no reason to short. And if you're long, no real reason to actually exit your long. But big negative divergence has been building for a while, telling me we're going to break this trend line sometime soon. So I'm on watch for that one. Same with GM. Started to break today a little bit. You can see they dip below there, but have recovered it. And again, it's not impulsive. Look at the hourly. They're just kind of drifting below it. Not impulsive yet. So I need to see that impulsive selling show up before I treat it as a sell signal. But here's GM. Clear uptrend line right there on GM on the daily chart. An obvious negative divergence. So we just made a new divergent high right there. And we have negative divergence on the PPO and the RSI. So again, no sell signal, no reason to short, but it's on watch. I think we're going to get that breakdown probably next week. I mean, if it breaks down into the close today, that's not really my favorite sell signal if we get a breakdown into the close. Depends on what, if it broke down, how impulsive is it and why. Otherwise, I'll likely just wait till next week. Quick update on these financial shorts. I don't think these are done selling off, so I'm still short these. I'm going to stay short. I think the sell signal is just getting started. And you can see here, uptrend line on the daily. We had negative divergence up here, and this is your sell signal. So this is where I got short and where I talked about on my channel that I was going to get short. And look what we've been doing, for almost 2 weeks now. It's just going sideways. So ultimately, it looks like a bear flag where we're just kind of flagging out right here. You've got the sell, and then it's going to do something like that. And that's what I'm continuing to think is going to happen. So no real strength in the financials, at least this one. Here's the other one I'm short, FITB. Same thing. You can see the sell signal, uptrend line. You get the sell signal, kind of a kickback rally, and continue to downtrend. So these trends take time, but by the time the trends are very obvious when you make a new low, that's not the time you want to be shorting. You don't want to be shorting something on a downtrend when it makes a new low. You typically want to be shorting something either when it first breaks trend, like up here, this was your sell signal, or on a kickback rally into resistance. Now, yes, if we do break, this support level 36.28, that should bring us down to the next level. And on this one, it's likely going to be probably this former high area. Yeah, somewhere right in there, maybe. We'll have to see. Down at 32.60. But again, I think we're heading lower in this, and I don't see strength here. So again, the market's been rallying. You look at the S&P 500, it's been rallying. It's all tech. That's basically what it is. And it's not even broad-based tech for the most part. It's mostly the FANG stocks. So very narrow breadth, a narrow breadth rally. And that's not usually a market consensus rally if you see like 5 stocks rallying and the rest of the market's, kind of flat. So again, financials aren't really participating. They're just kind of going sideways. I still think we're going lower in these things. Industrials, they've been rallying a little bit, but technically they have not changed their technical posture. So it's still sell the rip. Here's EMR. I'm short this one. You can see uptrend line. There's your sell signal. The rally over the last couple of weeks has been pretty muted, low volume, just a muted rally, but we're just rallying into resistance. So I think it's likely you get rejected. If you get a tag of that resistance, I think you're going to get rejected up there. JCI, same thing. You can see here, here's your uptrend line. You had a sell signal right here, and then just the last 2 weeks has been a pretty muted rally. We've made a new high in price. So if I get rid of the trend lines, you just see a new high in price. Looks bullish to the unobservant, but from my perspective, this looks like a back test of resistance. And you can see that the negative divergence is still there. Just clear negative divergence. It's just been extended. So we're making a new high in price on less momentum, and we're backtesting into resistance. So I think that this is likely going to be the end of the road for this one. We could pop into this trend line slightly higher, but I still think we're going down. So risk reward, this one's very favorable to short. Doesn't mean it's going to work out, but the risk reward is very favorable because let's say they pop it above here. You've got maybe a 2 to 3% risk of loss. You know, you just want to maybe stop out on a 3% pop, but then the reward from where it's at right here down to the next level of support is about 9.5%. So very favorable risk reward. That's a 3-to-1 risk reward ratio, and those are the kind of trades you want to take. Nothing guarantees they're going to work out, but you know, you want to put the odds in your favor, and the odds are in your favor, and probably, you know, the odds are in your favor right now to the short side on this. So I like that. And I'm staying short on this one. And then LPX is the same situation. You can see here, uptrend line here, broken trend, kind of a muted bounce. I still think we're heading lower on that one. Okay, I want to look at Apple real quick because that's basically what this rally has been about. You know, what happened is the financials and the industrials sold off and people took the money out and put it into tech. So it's, you know, it's that game of rotation that we've been seeing where they go to tech and then they go back to the financials and the industrials and then back into tech. There's a lot of rotation kind of going on. So right now people are buying tech. You'll see here on Apple, we're popping into this resistance area. It's right here about 138.30. You can see that was the former high here, held resistance here. Brief pop right here. That was a divergent high and it failed. So that was a false breakout and it did sell off. Now here they sold in short, and then right here today they are breaking above it. We'll see how the day closes and if there's any follow through next week. All right, so those are things to watch in Apple. Now if it does break higher and start to break and move, that's bullish for the market, and the market should respond to that. I would think the market would respond bullish. But if it fails here and we sell off, then again, we're likely to see a sell-off in tech. And stocks like Toll Brothers continue to look like a good short trade. Here's your uptrend line in Toll right there. Divergent high. You had negative divergence right up there, so that was a divergent high. There's your sell signal, break and trend. Back test 1, back test 2, down we go. So I think we're just going to continue the downtrend. And you can see here, this trend line, this level right here at about 58.70, that was support all through here. Held support here, held support here, held support on this big candle right there. Finally, we broke down and it's resistance. You can see run up, hit it, resistance. Pop above it, sell off, resistance. Close above it right here, following day, make it look like you're going to continue to run higher, sell off, back below resistance. So another rejection. So again, I still think that this one's heading down to the next level of support, which is about 50.47. And potentially all the way down here, I think this is good support at 40, 50, 40, 60, or call it 41 basically. You want to step in a little early. But I do think that we're likely heading down here. This is probably going to be the final target on that trade, and it still looks good. Okay, gold. So I've talked about gold in my video yesterday about the gold stocks. They all look pretty good from my perspective. I've been building a long position in these gold miners, so I've bought back my Barrick Gold, I've bought back some Agnico Eagle, and am looking to add to those positions and probably buy some Wheaton Precious Metals, WPM. So let's look at that real quick. So here's gold bullion. All right, we're looking at the hourly chart. This recent low that I have right here circled, that was a divergent low. So you have bullish divergence And you can see it very obviously right here on the PPO. See that divergence? We're making higher highs in the momentum. So right here is a higher high than right here, right? That's a higher high. And then price was on a lower low in price. Price is diverging from momentum. Momentum is moving higher, which tells you that buyers are stepping in, accumulating a position, and yet price is continuing to kind of work its way lower, divergent low. So that tells me that we're at a transition point. We're about to have a rally in gold, and we're seeing signs of it more today. So on the hourly, we've started this uptrend line right here on gold bullion, and we're kind of holding that trend. Flipping over to the daily, we've got some resistance right here at about 1790.50, and again, that's that key level I've talked about. 1790 is a really major level. It's about 1790, 1800, we'll call it, but I think it's about 1790. And if I roll all the way back, there it is from 2011. That's the 1790 area. You can see that held as resistance 1, 2, 3, and then you went into a 6-year bear market. All right, and that's gold bullion. So as I zoom in, couple levels to really couple things to really key off of. One, 1790 is that major level. To me, this looks like a brief washout move. You dip below that, wash out, run some stops, wash out anybody who was bullish way up here, and then a new rally. We start a new rally. The other thing to look at on gold bullion is this uptrend line. This is your bull market uptrend line that I can spot. You can see we held support, 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 and right now we're holding this support as well. So again, in a bull market, you want to buy at major support levels, and that's basically what we hit. I talked about this for weeks, for how I thought we'd have one little dip down, probably hit this trend line, and then that's all and then that's where the buyers will be sitting at. So far, since we hit that trend line, it's been buying ever since. I think the buying is likely going to continue, although we could continue to kind of hit this trend line. I think we're likely to see a move higher. Another thing to look at is the dollar. So we look at the dollar. One thing, dollar futures is interesting. All right, so here's the DX, and you can see here on the hourly chart, you've got a couple things going on. Here's your uptrend line in the dollar on the hourly. All right, you got a tag of support, 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 and there's your break. All right, we just had a sell signal or a break in the dollar. This hourly close is a clear, definitive break and close below, and we're seeing more selling in the dollar. The other thing is this break came with negative divergence. See the negative divergence right there in the PPO and the RSI. Okay, so we made a slightly new high, a divergent high, and now we have a sell signal or a break of trend. So dollar looks like it's about to start to sell off. We don't quite have a daily breakdown yet, a daily close, but we have it on that hourly. So I think the dollar's about to sell off and gold's about to rally. I'm bullish these miners. They look good. Look at wheat and precious metals. It's holding this trend line support. So this was this was really your last divergent low down here. And we had this downtrend line right here. This was the correction. We broke out, and I'm looking at a daily chart here. We broke out, back tested, held support, rallied, came back in, tested this trend line again. Brief dip below it, but look where it's at right now. Looks like it's gonna close the week above that trend line, holding that support. Looks like, to me, we're off to the races. Now we have a gap right up here, so I think what will probably happen is we'll likely do something like this: rally up, hit the gap, come back, hit support, then break. All right, and go and do something like that, and then likely, if that happens, I think we're likely heading up to 58 bucks, we'll call it, which is the former all-time high, I believe, in this thing. Okay, so these look bullish in general. And I'll wrap up with this one, Agnico Eagle. You can see here's your downtrend line on the daily chart. So again, big picture, you're in a bull market, right? Going all the way back to August 2015, you're making higher lows and higher highs. Here's your recent low, all right? And here's your recent high right there. Higher lows and higher highs, uptrend in gold. Now, we had a correction. We made a big, strong high right up here. This was your last high in this area, and that came with negative divergence. See the negative divergence? So that negative divergence was telling you, okay, you're probably going to go into correction mode in this stock and gold in general. And that's what we got. We got the correction, a multi-month correction, basically starting in September of 2020, going to about April of 2021. And we ended that correction, at least from what I can tell, with bullish divergence. So here's your bullish divergence, a equal low in the momentum and a lower low in price from the former low right here. So there's your last bullish divergence. And we run up, break that downtrend line, come in for a back test and holding support. All right, so there's your trend line. We're holding the support. So as far as I can tell, run up, fill the gap, probably get some sort of a pullback here and do like that. All right. So that's what I think is going to happen. That's how I'm positioned. Things are looking good so far. Financials look weak. Industrials look like they're about to, continue to sell off. Tech's relatively strong, but I think it's running into major resistance. So I am looking for a correction there in tech. And gold looks like it's about to rally. All right, guys. Thank you. Follow. I will do a live stream tomorrow. Around 9:30, 10 o'clock Pacific time, and I'll put a video out, and we'll cover stocks. We'll do chart analysis. So bring any trade ideas or charts you want me to look at in the live stream, and I'll see you guys later.